guys, it's your girl Rock Famous Star. Okay, so I am gonna try to get all these videos up tonight. Sorry if you've been waiting on the previous videos, but I'm working on it. Alright. It's just not back to school. Teachers go back Monday and it's Friday, and I'm trying to get my stuff ready so I'm not as behind. Alright, back to this episode. This was the battle back episode of the first 5 evicted house guests. Now I was really excited for this episode. I wish they would have done like a little 5-minute segment the whole time, or like each week, because there were episodes that ended early. They ended early, and there was things in the episode that they could have left out. I don't know. It was just, I wish they would have done it each week. But I guess to have another episode, I don't know. Maybe CBS asked, hey, can anybody do an episode on Friday at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock? But they could have put a rerun. I don't know. Whatever. All right, so let's talk about the battle back challenges. So first up was Glenn versus Jozea, and I was really, I've been pushing for Glenn. You can look back on my first episodes, and I was like, I hope he breaks the mold. So they had that berry walk challenge. And that was when they were in teams, and Polly won the HOH because he went for that blueberry. And the teams needed 40, but this time the 2 guys each only needed 20. And they had a big poison berry. It was like a big ball that if they got that and put it in a certain area on their side, then all the balls in their opponent's column that they're working on would all fall. And Glenn tried it, but when Jose was on his 9th berry, but Jose was just too fast, and Glenn was just too slow, and it didn't really work. Jose got his 10th one and locked it in before Glenn could get back. And the winner ended up being Jose, which I wasn't really surprised at, but I was really, really pulling for Glenn. Then it was Jose versus Victor, and it was like a play on the HOH competition that Bridget won. They had to bounce tennis balls off the racket, probably the same racket that they used, and to hit, there was other rackets with their opponents' faces on it that were different sizes and in different positions on the court, so they had to bounce them and hit them and knock them over. And yeah, it looked kind of hard. I would not say that was an easy competition. It just was a bunch of luck. Who can bounce it the most? And you only had 3 balls, and you had to bounce 3 balls and hopefully hit one, and then and you had to be your own ball boy and go get your own balls and come back. So, I mean, it was I don't think Glenn would have done. If Glenn would have done well in that one, it would have been because he hit the tennis rackets, because he was accurate. But I don't know how you can be accurate with that because you don't know where it's going to bounce. But the winner ended up being Victor, which I was very glad because I did not want Jose back in that house. I was just not here for it. Then it was Victor versus Bronte, and there was 3 TVs, and they had to 3 TVs, and there was pictures flashing. The pictures are probably up for half a second, and then they had to answer questions about those pictures, and that looked hard. I think personally I would have done amazing on all of these challenges that ever show on Big Brother, but so they had to answer questions about the photos, and it seemed like Victor was really putting in effort, even though it was hard. But it seemed like Bronte was kind of just I don't know, she drinks wine, I don't know, Bronte was a guess and check with 80 wrong answers, and just guessing and checking to see. She didn't have a good strategy, and I was pushing for her. I was rooting for her. But the winner ended up being Victor. So, 2 down. And this next battle was the one I was nervous about between Victor and Tiffany. Whoever battled Tiffany. That's why I was kind of hoping, like, Victor was going to win the last one. Even though I wanted Bronte to go in. I neither wanted Bronte or Victor. Just because I feel like that person would cause the least waves and maybe possibly make it further. I think Victor isn't gonna win. I mean, he could, but I think he'll make it further than any of the other previous evicted house guests. So then it was Victor versus Tiffany, and it was a puzzle competition. And they had to put this like huge puzzle together, and they had to listen for times like that the DJ or somebody was giving them, and they had to like propel themselves and like crawl up a ladder and put the puzzle together. And it looked hard just because the puzzle was right in your face, and so you couldn't get like a full perspective. And then also because you had to keep climbing that dang ladder. So it ended up being like pretty close towards the end because they were pretty much in the same area. But both people realized that they needed to shift their entire puzzle up. But Victor realized that probably a few minutes before Tiffany did. And he was shifting them up a lot quicker. And by the time she realized that she had to shift her puzzle pieces up, he was probably on like his 4th or 5th row. And he ended up shifting them all up, and then he just had to work on his puzzle pieces. His times. And then it was just like a guess and check. And then I think he was listening to the DJ the whole time, but then was kind of doing them. Maybe they just didn't show it, but he was just kind of doing them after the fact. Maybe he was just remembering. But the winner ended up being Victor. Woo! I just didn't want Tiffany to get back in there and then Davon go home and then... Well, no, you know what? That would have been nice. I keep taking it back and like saying I didn't want Tiffany in there. But I'm kind of glad that she's not in there because she was blowing up people's games. And you can only have so much, like drama before you're just like, okay, go home. So, Julie ended up saying like, getting the house guests together and like letting them know like the first 5 house guests or one of them is coming back. They've been secretly battling each week, blah blah blah, and someone's coming back tonight. So and then it was like, I don't know, it didn't seem like that much longer later. It was probably like 15 seconds. Then Victor comes back through the doors, and I think people were genuinely excited because I think by then the reason to get him out so bad kind of wore off. Like they really only wanted him out because of Jozea, and Josea's been gone. So I think it'll be okay. Depending on who wins HOH, I kind of hope Victor wins. Normally there's like a pattern of people, like if you're on the block or like if you've not gone home, but if you're on the block or have been in danger, you kind of have like a little bit more fire inside of you to win the next HOH. And I kind of hope Victor wins, or I kind of hope Paul wins. I think that'll be a good shake in the game. But that's it for me, and thanks for watching. You're welcome. Good night.